So phone in the pocket, dropping in 3, 2, 1.
So after the pocket drop here, the only damage that was truly done to the phone was the dent on the side here, and that's where the phone actually made impact with the ground. It's the upper left-hand corner, and I'll show you a close-up in a second of what kind of damage was endured there. Now keep in mind here, if you do multiple drops on this specific corner, this is where it mostly hits the ground, it's going to start to become chipped, wear and tear, and it's really going to affect the performance of how it feels in your pocket, and it's kind of just going to feel jagged when taking it out. The other damage that we saw here is the camera lens on the back is completely cracked. Now surprisingly, the photos still turn out okay, but this is just something you want to note when dropping it from a pocket level.
So from the first part of the test, how you doing? So now let's go ahead and drop the phone in 3, 2, 1.
So from the 7-foot drop here, it's kind of a crime scene. The Note 3 is in one spot, and the S Pen has just flown off in the distance, and that's because of the point of impact. The screen is fine here. We just have a little ding to the right-hand corner, the lower right-hand corner of the screen. It's not going to affect the phone at all, but it did land on the same spot as it did with the pocket drop, so the bezel's starting to tear off a little bit, and it is quite jagged. So the screen is completely intact, and it's absolutely flawless, so you can pretty much do whatever you'd want with it, as it is not affected at all. One thing is the slot where the S Pen goes, it also took a bit of damage there. It's not going to affect the S Pen or how it slides in, but it's just something to note, as any kind of drop you see will show wear and tear on the metal bezel.
So after the 3, 2, 1.
So after the 10-foot fall, I wish I had better news for you guys, but the phone completely cracked. It's spiderwebbed all amongst the phone, and surprisingly, the phone is fully functional. Now, you might be saying, why surprisingly? Well, with the S4 versus iPhone 5 drop test, if you want to check that out, link can be found right below that like button. The phone actually stopped working after about 20 minutes after the drop. So about an hour after here, as I'm recording this video, the phone is still fully functional. Just the only downside is glass shards are actually poking my finger every time I want to actually use this phone. So a way to get around that is either get the phone fixed, buy a new phone, or just put a screen protector on here so your fingers are safe. So just to conclude the drop test here, I'd say the Galaxy Note 3 held up pretty well with the 3 and 7-foot drop tests. Now, whenever a phone lands on its screen, more than likely it's going to go ahead and shatter it, as that's what's taking the impact. Now, if it lands on any other part of the phone, like we saw with the bezel in the 3 and 7-foot drops, it's going to take a beating, and as you saw, my bezel was starting to tear off a little bit. But I'd say the phone still works, it's great, just the only thing is I have a shattered screen now. So just one more thing to note here, when the pocket drop occurred and it pretty much shattered the back camera of the phone, I personally thought the camera was done for and photos were just pretty much useless on this phone, but surprisingly photos actually look a little bit better as a little bit more light is being brought in, and it still appears to be clear in the photos and video as well. So I'm not encouraging you to go and break your camera lens or anything like that on your Galaxy Note 3, but this is just something I wanted to note.
So after the 10